And where am I at the minute? I'm somewhere between Doncaster and heading back up into towards Gooley kind of area, I think. Well, it's what, 20 to 7 now, and I filled up with fuel a little bit earlier. What is the economy on this bike? Fuel economy. Let's have a little look and see what it says it's doing as an average fuel economy. It's saying it's doing 52 miles per gallon as an average fuel economy, which actually isn't bad for a bigger bike, I don't think, really. I'm not really thrashed it because, you know, I am running it in, and I don't want to completely thrash it. I've been sort of trying to try out different suspension modes. I've got it in its hardest setting now in sport. In each of the modes that you can go through, and you've got sport, enduro, urban and touring, and for each one you can sort of go in and then you can kind of refine what suspension front and rear feels like. So now I've got it in its hardest setting. It's still nothing like the Hypermotard was but the Hypermotard SP was, but it is harder. You can definitely feel it's harder, and I kind of did that to be in keeping with a kind of sporty feel of going faster when you're in sport mode. So, and in the touring mode I've got it kind of in a medium suspension setting, which is reasonably soft and absorbs all the bumps nicely. But this just gives you that ability with the electronic suspension, I suppose, without having to stop and get all the Allen keys and spanners out and stuff that I had to do with the Öhlins on the Hypermotard SP, or I would have had to have done had I have got the Pikes Peak, which is a lot nicer looking bike, I have to say, the way they have dressed it up. Now I have been tempted to, and Ducati have a way of doing this, they keep emailing me and saying, this weekend all accessories and clothing 15% off, and I sort of, so far I've resisted it, but I'm not sure yet whether before 12 o'clock midnight tonight I might go on and get myself, I was thinking perhaps for this bike, just to give it a bit of a, I don't know, a nicer look more than anything really. I'm not trying to get the weight down. I mean, it's a fairly heavy bike, so it's sort of pointless doing that. To make it look a bit nicer is to put the carbon front fender and rear fender on it. Everything's about 260 quid a shot, so you know, if everything I mention you sort of clock up 260, and that kind of is going to give you an idea of what the total price is. So front and rear fender's going to get me what, 520 quid, and then they've got the discount on, so I suppose that's worth thinking about. There is a chain guard, and there is a rear which is like a gravel collector thing. So, you know, prices are now starting to get a bit high. The two wings at the front of this bike, on the Pikes Peak, the two little black on this wing, I think they're polycarbonate plastic basically, and on the Pikes Peak they are, what are they? They're carbon, yeah, of course they're carbon, that's what we're talking about. The whole bloody conversation is about carbon, isn't it? Yes, it is, okay. Don't argue with yourself. Fine, I won't. So yeah, the two wings kind of make it look nicer at the front end, and that in combination with the front fender. What else? I was thinking, I tell you what I really was thinking about. I saw on a website this clear window kind of clutch casing cover, and then you can buy like a coloured pressure plate for the clutch, which goes on at the ends, and between those two things and then the spring retainer, and I was thinking of getting a combination of a black casing with the window in it, a red spinning whatchamacallit pressure plate wheel, and then on top of that the little spring retainer being black, so it's all basically black and red. And I've seen it on another one of these, a guy put something up on Facebook recently, and I have to say it looks amazing. You know, it might be bloody expensive. It's about 600 quid, I think, for the whole lot. And then, of course, I'd probably have to get it fitted. I mean, I could do it myself, but when I'm fiddling around with clutches and stuff, I'd probably get somebody to do it who knows what they're doing. Probably take it, see if they do it at the main dealers. So yeah, that will be another little addition. I kind of mentioned in the video I put up the other day that I was also thinking about getting the Hypermotard paint job done on this by the 8-ball guys down in Derbyshire, who apparently are very good at doing that kind of thing. So I don't know whether, you see, because that starts to get very, very expensive, doesn't it? I mean, you're starting to talk there, it's a sort of about £1.5 plus VAT for the paint job, so you're like 1,800 quid. And then you've got, what, 600 for the clutch cover, that's 2,400. Probably another 700 quid's worth of carbon. It's throwing 3 grand at it, really. It's a hell of a lot of money just to tart a bike up. None of that will do anything for the speed of the bike, or the comfort, or the handling of it in any way whatsoever. It will just be look and feel. So that's why I'm taking it steady. I might do the carbon thing. I might do a bit of a carbon run on it, because I do think carbon does tend, particularly the matte carbon that they do nowadays, does tend to make these kinds of bikes just look a little bit nicer. So I might look at that. What else have I been up to? Well, of course, it's back to work tomorrow, and then I'm in work for 1 week, and then after that I'm then off work for 2 weeks. So, you know, I'm thinking, so far at least, the weather forecast is looking like it's going to be decent for that, at least the first week of it, or it's giving that impression so far. So as long as the weather's good, I'll be out on the bike quite a bit. I had sort of toyed with the idea of maybe going over the channel on the ferry and maybe doing sort of 4 or 5 days of that 2 weeks, just doing a little bit of something, going somewhere, not sure yet, not absolutely written it off, but seeing as I'm spending money on this, then it's one of those weird things, isn't it? You buy a bike, you buy a kind of a, this is what they call a sports enduro bike. You buy a bike like this really to go, partly to play around like you do with any other bike at the weekends, but also if you want to go touring, then you do it because you've got the right sort of bike to do it. But then you sort of start thinking, shit, so, you know, if I spent 5 days, 5 or 6 days of my 2 weeks abroad, how much would that cost me? And you can easily stick £1.5 on top by the time you've paid the ferry and the hotels and all the rest of it. So I don't know is my conclusion, but I'm still not writing it off. Maybe a possibility. So yeah, 2 weeks off coming up soon. That should be good to get away from work, and by then all the bike will be in order. It'll have had its first service at the beginning of that 2 weeks. It's now done over, it's supposed to be 615 miles. It has its first service, and now it's done 709. When I asked them to book it in for the first service, and they said, oh look, we're very busy and we're not going to be able to fit it in until September, and I said, well, it's the end of July, you know, or the very beginning of August, so I'm going to put 600 miles on a sort of sport touring type bike in a couple of weekends. And he said, oh well, let me see if I can get it in for the 21st of August. So they did, but even so, that's 3 full weekends on a bike of this kind. You're going to easily rattle off that sort of mileage if you're going anywhere. And so they have booked it in for the 21st. That's the Tuesday of the first week of my holiday. and it gives me plenty of time after that, I suppose, to put miles on it. But it gives me now about another 290 miles before a limit they gave me, which was 1,000 miles to go up to, which I also mentioned in my previous video, so I'll stop waffling on about all that. So yeah, this is just a little runabout, and I'm sort of discovering new places, new roads. I'm not particularly doing anything hyper fast. I'm just taking it all nice and steady and nice and easy today. No point in racing around, just having a chilled out runabout really. So on this as well, it's got cruise control, so if I wanted here, I'd simply could put the cruise control, which is that left button there, and it brings the little light on the dash. Tap the bottom of that button and it sets it, and then I've got the cruise control set. You can slow it down a little bit, bring it down here so that we're actually doing exactly the speed limit if we want to, there at 60, and it'll hold that. I know it's at 60 because of the GPS here is telling me that. The clock's saying 63 on the bike. Still heading away from the rain. We're now in the county of North Yorkshire. And cruise control is more useful, of course, on sort of motorways and stuff. So if you are going abroad and you inevitably have to do a fair bit of motorway riding, unless you're going to take your bike down in a van or something, it's worth having the cruise control just to chill out and let the bike do the sort of throttle grip, so to speak. So I'm just I'm going to stick it now in the Touring mode, which will soften the suspension up. So I just pop that button down there on the left. As you can see, I don't know if you can on the screen, it comes up with the sport one that it's in. Flick it down to the one below and select that. Take the throttle off, and it then goes into Touring mode. We'll just reset the speed again on the cruise control, and then we're all sorted. I'm just going to take 1 mile an hour off because I'm just slightly gaining on him. In fact, I'll come off cruise control now because we're getting into more interesting bits of road that he's going to be going up and down on his speed for. So yeah, we're an hour and a half to run on this little run out. We're heading up towards Snaith now, I think, on the edge of Humberside. It is pretty overcast today, not a lot of sunshine, if any at all, but we've had plenty of that this year, so you can't complain too much. Going to hang a right here. Some just nice little in the middle of nowhere kinds of places that you get to see if you I mean, this road is like absolutely dead straight, isn't it? There's not a bend in it, but the view you get all around, because it's so flat round here, is amazing. That's a squirrel, I think, rushing across the road there. I I saw an article the other day actually, I don't know what it was on Facebook or the BBC or something, about a guy who the police, I think it was in Germany somewhere, had been called to a guy who had reported being attacked by a squirrel, a baby squirrel, and it wouldn't leave him alone, and he had to call the police. That must be quite embarrassing. And they were saying in this article that baby squirrels that lose their mother tend to latch onto somebody if they see them, and then they don't really let go of them. So quite an interesting one. Anyway, I just had absolutely no real purpose for this video today, just to say that I'm out and about on the bike still. I'm still really enjoying it. I was going to see if we got any rain today and try it out in that, and so far we haven't, but I'm not complaining about that either. And I think I will probably leave it here and let you crack on with the rest of your day. I hope it all goes well for you, and hope you enjoy the rest of the summer. If you're on a bike, then ride safely, and whatever you're doing, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.